Welcome to Learn to Enjoy Sewing. I'm Phil Newfrio, and I will be guiding you through the necessities of making a fitted skirt with a commercial pattern. This video will show you what supplies you will need and how to construct the garment step by step. All the steps shown will get you on your way to enjoy sewing on your own. Let's begin, shall we? The first thing you'll need are your sewing notions, and here they are. We'll start off with the measuring tape. It should be imperial and metric. That means inches and centimeters. You'll need a seam ripper. The seam ripper pretty much has got a pointed end on one side. You'll need chalk, slab, or pencil form. Tracing paper, different colors, plus a tracing wheel. The tracing wheel should have zigzag edges to make the right markings. Scissors. When you're a beginner, I prefer to have a pair of scissors, very inexpensive, for your fabric and your actual pattern. Later on, you might choose to actually go ahead and buy a more expensive pair or a different length. You might even choose to buy pinking shears, which give you a little zigzag edge. Pins. You have dressmaker's pins, plastic head pins, or glass. I prefer glass only because they don't melt if you should forget them underneath the iron. You'll need a hem guide, which means it's more accurate to use than your measuring tape. I'd like you to have a nice ruler. I prefer the grid ruler only because you can see right through it. You'll also need thread. Inexpensive thread is what you're buying, white or black. This is used for basting, which we'll do at a later time in the video. You'll need hand sewing needles, and I'd like you to get hand sewing needles that are not self-threaders. They're a little bit complicated to use. The one part that everybody forgets is machine needles. The problem with this is that for every fabric, you must use different sizes of needles. Let me explain that. You have different types of fabrics. You have a lightweight fabric, which is extra light, which means chiffon, georgette, and silks. Then you have a lightweight fabric, which is your cottons, your satins. You have a medium weight fabric, which is pretty much velvet, cotton velveteen, and your stretch fabric. Then you have your heavyweight fabrics, your blue jeans, your home decor fabrics, and then you have your vinyls. All of these different types of fabrics need actual different types of needles. Along with that, you'll have interfacing. This applies to the same rule as your sewing machine needles. You need to have certain weights in the interfacing for your fabrics. My preferred interfacing is the Fusi-Knit. It's nice, it gears itself to all the fabrics. But there's other kinds. There's woven, which means exactly what it says. It's woven fabric. The difference is it's a little bit lighter than your fabric, and it's got fusible on the back. Get used to the terms. Fusible means that you have to press it down with an iron. So you can get it with the glue on the back or without, which is called a sew-in. We also have something else called a non-woven. The non-woven looks like your dryer sheets. It also comes in fusible, iron-on, or sew-in. They all come in a black and a white, and they're all geared exactly like your sewing machine needles for the different weights. So whatever weight you use, you need a new weight for your interface and a new weight for your sewing machine needles. Before we can start with the pattern, we have to take our measurements. So let's say, for example, this is your body, and we got to go ahead and take the measurements for it. So here we go. The first thing you have to do is you have to take your measuring tape, and we're going to take 3 measurements: the bust, the waist, and the hips. First thing you do is you take your measuring tape and you run it all the way around the bust area. You should add 2 fingers on the inside right up at the front of the fullest part of your breast. Your line should go right around your whole body. That's your bust measurement. From there, we take it and we try to get our waist. The best way to get your waist is not where your belly button is or where you wear your underwears. You pretty much have to figure out where it is by one simple step. All these measurements should be done with panties and bras. You stand up straight, you take your one hand, lean over to the side, and wherever you have an indent, that's where your natural waistline is. So now that we've accomplished where it is, we grab it, We take the waistband measurement. Don't forget those 2 fingers on the inside, that's for ease. Once we get that measurement, it's time to do the problem area. Everybody has a problem area, and that's the hips. In the pattern, you only get one type of hip, and that's 9 inches down from the waist. But what happens if you don't have the beautiful smooth hips? You have hips that are a little bit higher than what they are. The first thing you do is you take the 9 inch if you apply. So you measure from your waist down 9 inches. You take that and you measure yourself all the way around. Don't forget, those 2 fingers have to go on the inside. If you don't apply to this rule, you apply to the second rule. And the second rule is this. You measure yourself in the widest part. So if you happen to be on the thighs, that's where you measure. If you happen to be on the hips, that's where you measure. Depending on where you're at, you have to take yourself a good look in the mirror and measure yourself. So the widest part is what applies. The pattern people only give you 9 inches drop. So you have to decide and be honest where your biggest point is.